please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
A rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
We are getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder breaks, the ground is shaking from the weight. Voices crying in the night, but freedom burns a steady light. We hold the line, we won't let go. Through every trial, the truth will show. This is your daily dose. Open your eyes, see through the smoke, see through the lights. Rise from the silence, hear freedom's call. One voice, one people, united we stand tall.
Hearts awaken, chains undone. A new day breaks, the dawn has come. Through every battle, through the flame, our faith in God remains the same. The storm may rage, the night may fall, but hope will answer stronger than all.
This is your daily dose. Courage and fire, lifting the weak, lifting us higher. Not by the sword, but the truth we recall. Where we go, we go. We've seen the darkness try to reign. We've felt the sorrow, we've known the pain. But every trial has forged the steel. In God we trust, His plan is real.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody is doing well, and Josh can fix this shit for sure. I don't know what yet. What do we need? What needs fixing? What needs fixing? I hope everybody's having a great start to their week, man. Woo. Shit is ramping up, and don't be like, nobody told us this was going to happen. Yeah, we did. We said exactly this shit was going to happen with Iran. And it's crazy. I love it. I'm watching it unfold. I'm watching pro-Israel lobby get triggered. I'm watching FAGA, fake MAGA, wondering what the hell is going on and how they can twist this into some narrative to where they get back into control. Oh, it's glorious. It's glorious. And another one. I love this one. This is great too. So you have Alex Jones coming out and like, Steve Bannon is Q. Oh my goodness, we got Kurt Metzger, a comedian, came out there and did some research. He found some Epstein posts and said, oh my God, 4chan's in the Epstein post. So that must correlation equate causation that Epstein and Bannon, because Bannon was with Epstein, are Q. Oh my God. And I love this because the New York Post put out an article today that Jeffrey Epstein was obsessed with trying to take down Donald Trump before his own suicide. Like, we're trying to assume logic here. So Epstein and Bannon were Q, but they were pro-Trump, building Trump's army, building an information war in lieu of Trump, but Epstein wanted to take down Trump? Like, But the Democrats then come out and say that Trump was Epstein's best friend. But now we find out that Epstein was dead set on taking down Trump. Like, do you see how, like, the seeded narrative of these psychological warfare games that these people have been playing for a long time begin to come apart when you start to look at the facts of what's actually happening, what has occurred, and the things that have transpired? It's amazing, isn't it? Tonight, after this show, DEFCON 0 with myself and Alpha Warrior over on Badlands Media. If you're in the Rumble chat, don't worry, I will raid everybody over there. So DEFCON 0 right after this show on Badlands Media on Rumble and YouTube. Going to be awesome. Can't wait to see you guys there. We're going to be talking a lot about that situation that we just talked about there, plus much, much more. So buckle up for that. It's going to be a great show. Today, the FBI, June 10th, the FBI and law enforcement, this is from FBI Director Kash Patel, law enforcement partners became aware of a potential threat at the UFC's America 250 event in Washington, D.C. involving individuals outside the National Capital Region. And thanks to the rapid action of the FBI, our partners in the Department of Justice, a multi-state operation, multiple individuals are now in custody and alleged planning attacks were stopped cold. And this appears to be... I don't know if it's a radical left-wing group, if it's a radical right-wing group. It seems to be like right-wingers who hate Trump and believe it's the Epstein party. I don't know. But they have been taken down. So they had explosive-laden drones and were planning to strike buildings near the event to spark mass panic and force crowd reactions. Fleeing attendees that would be directed towards a pre-staged sniper team to shoot people as they ran. They were reportedly a possible second wave where attackers would storm the White House gates amid the chaos. So the FBI learned of this on June 10th, identified over 23 people utilizing a signal chat. You gotta wonder, was this one of those ones where the FBI came out there and said, hey, we got some secret informants out here, some confidential informants, they're out there, and there's a lot of disdain for Trump. Let's go out there and set up the scenario. You got to wonder if it was one of those situations. I don't know, but I'm going to keep my eyes open because I don't put it past anybody in the FBI, even Kash Patel's FBI. So there is 23 people. Details via federal arrest affidavit reveal that a California man named Michael Allen Thomas was one of the alleged organizers of the alleged UFC White House terror plot. Feds say he admitted he believes the U.S. government is run by elites who sacrifice and eat children, had involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, and are protected by President Trump. So this is FAGA right-wing QAnon conspiracy against Trump. I don't know. This is weird, but it's interesting. And thankfully, they foiled this plot. But, we were just talking about it yesterday is, what happens when bad news starts to happen against Israel? False flags start coming up. We're actually going to talk a little bit about that here in a little bit. There's some more information on that actually might signify something actually happening. But we'll talk about that here towards the middle end of the show. Depends on how fast we get through these other articles. Yesterday, we were talking about how Gavin Newsom and his wife were under investigation by the DOJ. And we showed that how this money train operates, that Gavin Newsom's government goes out there and sends billions of dollars to the schools. The schools go out and hire this contractor who is a nonprofit organization that has affiliation to Gavin Newsom and his wife. And then that nonprofit then hires Gavin Newsom's wife's company, which is a for-profit company, and pays them millions of dollars. And this is the circle of flow of money, of how money is laundered from government taxes to their own personal wealth. And that is under investigation. But we find out today is that Gavin Newsom was lying his ass off yesterday when he said the Department of Justice, Donald Trump, was targeting him with investigation. It's his own state. It is the State Department of Justice out of Sacramento off of an anonymous tip that is investigating Gavin Newsom and his wife, not the Trump DOJ. But now I think that the Trump DOJ might jump into this because who knows what's going to happen there when his own attorney general has to prosecute the governor. That doesn't make much sense. And CNN was actually the one to come out and correct this for the record. That's mind-boggling. CNN actually came out and corrected this for the record, stating that Gavin Newsom is lying because that's bullshit. The Trump administration is not targeting him. It is his own state. Talking about fraud. Here's a story that came out today that nobody's talking about. Nobody has, I haven't seen this anywhere. I got 990 views on it, only 40,000 views on the original post, and this is from Vaughn Golden. This is Albany's reporter, New York Post, WSKG, and he's reporting this. Listen to this. New York Health Commissioner James McDonald and Medicaid Director Amir Basiri have been charged in connection with a Medicaid fraud being brought by the feds, alleging that Hochul administration rigged the transition of CDPAP services for Public Partnerships, LLC, and allowed the company to siphon millions more than the contract allows. This is huge. Another one, Medicaid fraud that we're seeing directly to the state health commissioner. But nobody's talking about this. The U.S. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Kathy Hochul's administration Tuesday, claiming it rigged the bids on an $11 billion Medicaid home care program, allowing hand-picked companies to siphon off millions in taxpayer dollars. State Health Commissioner James McDonald and Medicaid Director Amir Basiri are both named in the lawsuit, which lays out startling new allegations that claim Hochul's administration schemed to consolidate payroll services for nearly 250,000 home care recipients under Public Partnerships, LLC, and moved forward with a disastrous transition despite clear warning signs of the coming chaos. There you go, New York. That's Kathy Hochul for you. And the governor and the health committee, they were all aware of this. They all knew that this was going on because so these are two good examples. Let's ramp this up. Okay, so we got Minnesota where you have massive Medicaid, Medicare fraud, SNAP fraud, welfare fraud. We have that happening in a lot of different states, probably the majority of the states, but Minnesota was the first one to kind of hit the tally, right? Scott Bessent comes out and says we're using the same mechanism that we used in Minnesota. We're going to use it on New York and Illinois and California. Now you're seeing in California, they have Medicaid, Medicare fraud with all of the old folks' homes and the assisted living facilities, right? But now what you also see is that Gavin Newsom's wife is under investigation. Why? Because they were laundering taxpayer money through various different government functions and grant programs to nonprofits and the for-profits. That's how that cycle operates. And what do you see? The same damn thing happening in New York with Governor Hochul. Same thing was happening in Minnesota with Tim Walz. This is the MO of the Democrats. This is why they have billions of dollars coming in for their campaigns every year, because they would go out there and they would treat all of their people very, very nicely by funneling millions, if not billions of dollars to them, where kickbacks would come in to fund their campaigns and their agendas get put in place and everybody gets rich and wealthy. When's Chicago's turn? I agree. When's Pritzker's turn? So you have that coming up, and this is going to build momentum. I'm trying, dude. We're 2.5 states in. We're Minnesota, California, which just began, and New York. We're 2.5 states in. Just wait until they start uncovering it all throughout the country. They have 2.5 years to do this. Trust me, they're going to find much, much more. And there's going to be a lot of criminal indictments coming about through this tax fraud. This is why J.D. Vance, Scott Bessent, Trump all said the same thing. They said, hey, if we got rid of just the fraud that was occurring within Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, welfare, within these social functions and programs, we would have a balanced budget. In other words, we would not have a deficit. We would not have debt. That's how much money we've lost from these money laundering operations. And by the way, I want to say is the Democrats. Yeah, the Democrats are the primary party that bring this about, but it's the Republicans too, guys. Don't get me wrong. It's the Republicans too. I'm pretty sure if you go investigate a lot of these Republican governors, you're going to find the same damn thing over and over and over. Maricopa. So DNI Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know if it's good. I think it's going to be this week. I heard it was going to be this week with the Election Integrity and Infrastructure Task Force with this report. Heard it was going to be this week, but I don't know. Trump is G7. He's coming back from G7, so we'll see. But we could have some bangs by the end of the month with all of this. Now, today, Maricopa County admits in court that they deleted and removed election data from the election management system and related servers and machines to hide it from auditors after the subpoenas. This was a clear cover-up, completely obstructing and compromising any audit of the Maricopa County 2020 election. Now, where have we heard that before? We just talked about that yesterday with Michigan. Michigan deleted all of their ballots 11 days after the election instead of holding them for the 72 months that they were supposed to hold them. We're finding Maricopa County did that too, moved them all away from the EMS. Why? Because they stole fucking elections. And that's coming down. I'm not going to do a 2-hour monologue because I got to be on another show in an hour. But you go back and listen to my monologue yesterday for the first hour of the show. I break it all down. Southern Poverty Law Center boss funneled $1.2 million to a lover in a neo-Nazi group. The Southern Poverty Law Center attacking neo-Nazis. And so it was funny. They would always put out neo-Nazis and white nationalists at the top, but they would always target people like you and me, everyday average Americans who are kind of middle of the line but very patriotic. And now you find out why. Because the radical left and the radical right are the same fucking thing. They are nothing more than social functions utilized to push and propagate a agenda by the neoliberals within this global world. So by the way, SPLC, that's just the first domino. SPLC was funded by Tim Cook from Apple, Bill Gates, and George Soros. Interesting enough that Tim Cook resigned. Well, announced that he'll be stepping down, resigned the day before the SPLC indictment. Interesting. James O'Keefe today, an OMG journalist, spent the past 8 months undercover inside the New Jersey Antifa, infiltrating the private signal chats of groups known as NJ Burn. What they uncovered proves Antifa is not just an idea, it's a network of real people organizing, coordinating, and operating inside of America. Let me get rid of that. I don't know why that's still up there. Inside the group signal chats, members discussed plans for port blockades, riot activities, support networks for criminal defendants, and celebrated acts of political violence. Using names profile photos, and digital receipts, OMG traced individuals to positions throughout some of America's most influential organizations. The same network connected to disruptive port blockades in New Jersey was also active during the unrest surrounding Delaney Hall, where activists confronted law enforcement and journalists outside immigration detention facilities. Among those identified were an engineer affiliated with OpenAI and OpenAI Newsroom, an AI automation leader at T-Mobile, Rutgers University students and personnel, Princeton doctoral candidate, a former New Jersey congressional candidate and city councilman, board member connected to the American Civil Liberties Union and a National Lawyers Guild, and a nonprofit executives with ties to the United Nations affiliated initiatives. I'll read that last part again. Nonprofit executives with ties to the United Nations affiliated initiatives. This isn't the first time that we've seen this. We've seen this during the Charlie Kirk assassinations. When you start to tie in Tyler Robinson and his connections and backgrounds, you start to find United Nations affiliated initiatives tied in with the organizations that these people are affiliated, as well as colleges. Those are the prime recruiting hubs for a lot of these places. In other words, it appears that Antifa is not a domestic organization. It is a global organization, and it is being ran and operated by what we would consider to be the globalist. And so the question is how does the financing work? And we've talked about that in different shows, and it's very vague, but it would be very interesting to see how the FBI begins to handle this, and if they take the information from James O'Keefe and utilize it for prosecutions, because the DOJ today has criminally charged 15 leftists tied to Antifa and left-wing groups in Minnesota for conspiring to attack and impede federal agents during the ICE raid. That includes Antifa Kyle, who recorded himself issuing threats. The federal indictment was unsealed, charging 15 defendants with conspiracy to impede or injure federal officers and others charges related to two Minneapolis-based Antifa groups that violently oppose law enforcement and federal law in our state. The defendants are members of the Association of the Direct Action Minnesota. Earlier this month, agents of Homeland Security investigations conducted a coordinated law enforcement operation culminating in the arrest of 12 of the 15 defendants. One defendant had already been in custody on other federal charges. So what happened after this is it looks like an attempted jailbreak from Andy No, and this is in Minneapolis at the ICE detention facility.
Fuck you! You fucking fascists! Fuck you!
So Antifa begins getting arrested, and we have protest riots that begin to break out once again in Minneapolis. Could we be seeing the return of the Summer of Love 2.0? I think it's about time. I think this, and if it's in my home state, oh, this is gonna be interesting. I'll go down there. I'll videotape some shit. So very interesting right there. What we're seeing is the takedown of the non-government organization entities and their covert operations like Antifa. This is well overdue, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see what type of indictments can come about from all of this. I think that James O'Keefe is obviously working with the feds, if people can understand that, but his organization obviously is going to tie that directly back to Kash Patel, and I think that much of what you're going to see come out about Antifa is that it has United Nations affiliated organizations, NGOs from the United Nations that are affiliated with its functionality and its people. In other words, how does this operate? How do people get paid? You go to college, you become a student, you join a United Nations initiative. Hey, hi, United Nations initiative. Hi, would you like to become a staff member with us? Sure. Great. We're going to run this organization over here called Action for Democracy. Cool. You go over to Action for Democracy. They pay you a salary. Through Action and Democracy, you go back to that same college. You begin recruiting people. You bring people into these private communication zones that you just call Antifa for organizing, protesting, for violence, and all these other things. But it's completely disassociated from that organization that you're actually involved in and getting paid for. That's how the money's flowing, if you're thinking about it. And then what happens is that a big protest is coming out. This direct action, Minneapolis, will go ahead and fund that. They'll take money from the United Nations initiatives, flow that money into there. They'll rent tons of different buses. They will go to other states. They'll rent buses. They'll market and advertise the protest. And then those same people will go into their special little group. They'll get on there and they'll say, hey, the buses are going to be here at 8 o'clock. Make sure you're getting on it. And all those guys will get on the buses in their respective states and they'll come all the way over and they will go in there and they will do their job and do their bidding. Well, you're probably saying, well, how do those people get paid? Well, it's a cash business. They're not getting paid with paychecks. You're getting paid cash. So that company has $100,000 that comes in. They take $2,000 swaths and they pay people in person. Cash. Now, a hard transition. We're going to move away from that side of the world because it's just an indication of the things that are to come, guys. I think that everybody's beginning to see it. I think everybody understands that there is a reckoning that is coming, that we are about to see the DOJ unleashed on NGOs, on Antifa, on the funding mechanisms behind that. It's going to correlate and relate directly back to MI6, Mossad, to the United Nations, to a neoliberal agenda, global neoliberal agenda that was being transpired globally, that has affiliations directly in various NGOs that were ran and operated by people like Bill Gates and George Soros and Sigelman and all these other people. You're going to see that this is all intercorrelated and related. And this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg when we begin to get into this. People are like, well, why didn't we arrest him last year? Because this takes a long time to investigate networks that are this entrenched and this large. Now, we're going to go into the Iran conversation because this is where it gets really, really interesting. I wish I had the post. I'm actually going to search if I can find the post right now because I said it on the show and I said it on X that China and Russia will be critical components in the negotiations to end the Iran war. Now, why did I say that? Because we have what's forming right now, what's known as a multipolar world framework. This is a transition of power that's occurring globally, right? You had this liberal rules-based international global order that formed after the Bretton Woods, after 1948, the end of World War II. The United States was kind of the military, the strong arm. The British think tanks were kind of the political organization of it. And then the objective was to go out there and capture all the global resources and the global supply chain, and then basically rape and pillage all the money until they were the wealthiest people alive, and then kill off 85% of the population and bring in their new world order. That was the whole plan that they've been doing. Well, Donald Trump has disrupted much of that plan. And it's believed by many people that back in around 2018 timeframe, Trump made a plea to Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin to basically say, hey, let's take down these globalists. And you want to think about it. We know Putin has always wanted to take down the globalists. Putin doesn't like the globalists. But Xi Jinping was the mechanism, the vehicle for that same neoliberal order for a very long time. So what changed with Xi? Well, this is what changed with Xi. Xi Jinping understood that if the New World Order came, that if the globalists had oligarchical control, that there's no basis of how their power is derived. There's nobody voting. There's no democratization of how their power is derived. You have an oligarchical control that rules the world through a one world government structure. Well, what does that mean for Xi Jinping and China? Well, the CCP's no more. Xi Jinping's not in power and control of China anymore. Well, now he can't fulfill his promises to the Chinese people. So when Donald Trump comes out there and says, hey, let's all work together to destroy this globalist infrastructure, and then we'll have a multipolar world and we can all just compete normally like this should be. And they all agreed to it. So when I came out and said, that China and Russia would be critical components in the deal with Iran, I already knew what was going to happen. And what happened today at G7? Trump thanks China and Russia, partners of Iran, for diplomatic help in sealing the ceasefire deal. China and Russia both had diplomats on both sides of the table operating to seal the deal. It's just more indication that we're moving in to this multipolar world framework, and not even moving in. It's already here. I mean, our title tonight is "The World is About to Change." We are ending an old world order and we are entering into a new world order, right? But that new world order, it's not the commie-fascist, oligarchical controlled new world order that the globalists in 1984 had presented. Instead, it's a multipolar world framework where the United States is coming out on top as the global energy supplier and producer in the world, the one that controls the largest military in the world, has secured all of the various different supply chain accessibility ports around the planet, has made peace and truce with China and Russia in the context of economic partnerships, and has liberated various different nations around the world from their European handlers. This is crazy. That's what we're moving into. Trump understands and knows what he is doing. Now, don't think for a moment that the Democrats are not going to try to fight back, because they absolutely are. And I'm calling this right now. I called it a year ago, but I'm going to call it right now. You have not heard the last of Hillary Clinton. Listen to this.
Well, David, you and I think alike. I think, number one, if he could figure out a way to stay, he would. My husband likes to say, if he tries to stay, I'm running again. But if that's unlikely, which we have to hope it is, I don't get the feeling he's all warm and fuzzy about J.D. Vance.
So now she's separating, she's putting some division in there. But why did she mention J.D. Vance? See, Bill Clinton can't run, but Hillary can. Hillary Clinton is going to run for president in 2028. I'm telling you, Hillary's going to run in 2028. And she's expecting to be running against J.D. Vance. She came out and said that Biden was wrong for going out there and running in 2024. They should have gave it up to another candidate who actually had a chance to win. That's exactly what we were talking about in 2024. The coup with Obama and Clinton trying to take out Biden and remove him from the candidacy, and how Biden's wife, Jill Biden, actually told them to fuck off. And that's how that coup occurred. And that phone call that Jill Biden and Joe Biden had with Donald Trump after Butler, that was real. And what happened? They turned on Obama and Clinton at that time. And John Kidd says, if she's alive. Yeah, you know what? I think Hillary Clinton has no choice but to run for politics, because I think that the indictments are coming down for her. I think that's one of the reasons why she's going to enter early. All right. J.D. Vance was on The View today. A lot was being said about what's going on with Iran. J.D. Vance brought some logic to the room. So listen to J.D. Vance right here on The View of what he's saying about the Iran deal. Listen to this.
And I think that's where a lot of the misunderstandings come from, is you've got Iranian propagandists out there saying, well, we get all these things. And they leave out the fact that they only get those things if they fundamentally transform themselves as a country. So the United States wins either way. As the president said, either they get nothing, we destroyed their nuclear program and the Straits of Hormuz are open, or they fundamentally transform themselves. And that's a big win too. It's really up to them.
I love this. Fundamentally transform themselves. Listen to Donald Trump here. All the shit I've been saying, you're going to start hearing from them. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm happy to be right. But we fucking told you. And we told you because I saw the damn narrative. I saw the little breadcrumbs that were being laid. I was the first one talking about the factionality operating in Iran, the two different factions operating in Iran, IRGC hardliners and a civilian component government. Listen what Trump says.
You talk about regime change. I never cared about regime change. It's never a part, but I guess you have regime change because you know better than anybody. The first group, they're all dead. The second group, they're dead. A part of the third group is gone. And we're dealing with people that I think are very rational people. I mean, they were nice to deal with. They were strong people, smart people. I think actually they're smarter than the first and second group. But they're not radicalized and they're, looking to help their country.
I love that. So J.D. Vance says something very, very interesting. That they have the ability to transform their country. Trump goes out there and says that the people we were talking to and negotiating with are not radicalized. They're very rational. They care about their country and they're good people. J.D. Vance yesterday, we played it. He said that we're talking directly with Iran. Then I showed you Iranian President Pezeshkian coming out and telling the IRGC hardliners to basically fuck off. Stop calling us traitors for caring about our country. Because the Iranian people, they look at strength. They want strength in leadership. And what just happened here is completely going to transform Iranian politics beyond anything. Because, number one, Mojtaba, we don't even know if Mojtaba is alive. Mojtaba Khomeini is alive. The IRGC hardliners, they just lost the battle. The fact that Arachi and Pezeshkian signed this deal's done. Trump came out, moved everything out. The Strait of Hormuz is open. That is a power play by the civilian component government in Iran. The people will back them. The people will love them. And the people are going to look to them for the leadership, which means that power will begin dwindling away from the clergy, from the Ayatollah, from Mossadegh, and from the IRGC hardliners. So you don't need a traditional regime change like you would have within the CIA with a color revolution, when you can do it naturally by realigning the people with true leaders who love their country. That's what Donald Trump understood. That's the play that happened. That's the play that they were trying to get all along. This is why you had all these various deals come and go, come and go, come and go. This is why Trump would go out there and say things like, oh, we have a deal with Iran and it's set in stone and the strait's going to open tomorrow. And then Iran comes out and says, what the hell is he talking about? That's not happening. The reason he's doing that is because he's undermining the IRGC hardliners who believe that they were negotiating the deals. And when Trump comes out and says something like that, they start wondering, who the hell is Trump talking to? Psychological war. And he won. Huge. Now, what did Trump have to say about Iran's nuclear program? Oh, this is really interesting. You're going to like this. Now, by the way, go back to some old podcasts 2 years ago when I'm talking about Iran, 3 years ago when I'm talking about Iran and Uranium One. And I'll tell you what I said here in a minute, but listen what Trump says.
Coming in, how specific? Iran will be just fine. What's happening is that at an appropriate time, there's no rush at all. We have cameras from space on it. We know everybody that goes there, which is like nobody. The B-2 bombers hit it. The entire mountain collapsed inside it. It's a very tough excavation. Nobody else can do it but us and probably China. They have the equipment. We have the equipment. We're in no rush, but we get it, and when we get it, we'll destroy it.
Is that part of
We're not looking to take it. We're looking to destroy it. We have plenty of it.
Okay. Donald Trump just said that we have satellites with we have cameras in space that can watch those mountains and see everything that comes in and out. A few years ago, I was talking about this, that During a uranium run, Rosatom, Uranium One Company, connections to Justin Trudeau, Hillary Clinton authorized the release of 35% of the uranium stockpile to Rosatom. Rosatom took it. This was part of the original JSPOC with Barack Obama, because then Russia facilitated a transfer of some of that uranium directly to Iran. That went to northern Syria and underground facilities to where Iran was trying to make a bomb. That was Uranium One uranium. Now, some of that obviously ended up in Venezuela. But here's the interesting part. U.S. uranium has a certain isotopic measurement. Satellites in space can detect those various different doped isotopes within the uranium. They can track it all around the world. So when Russia took some of that uranium and they decided through the nuclear, they're in a nuclear non-proliferation treaty with the United States of America, but they wanted to go out there and build, their own nuclear weapons and not stop development. So they use World War II facilities under Chernobyl and Zaporizhzhia to actually go out there with that uranium that Rosatom actually took in to go out there and build out some special programs. That got taken over during the 2014 coup and then retaken over by the special military operation. But anyways, that's another story. But I just found it interesting. When Donald Trump says we have cameras in space that are watching the facilities, the cameras he's talking about are spy satellites that can detect radioactive isotopes, and they know the tracking of these radioactive isotopes around the world. Oh, this is great. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. This is a good one. Listen to this one. Dude, Israel is having a fucking a Trump derangement syndrome moment right now. Israeli intelligence told their leadership that Mojtaba Khomeini has zero intention of signing the final nuclear agreement. Iran accepted the framework only to reopen the Hormuz and get the economic relief, not to make real nuclear concessions. The security officials reportedly warned that Tehran will drag out the 60-day talks to further advance its breakdown time. This Israel being mad about the outcome or the deal? Yes, they are pissed. Now, I said this. The only way that this would be true is Mojtaba, whether he's dead or alive or just a symbolic figure, is a controlled asset by either the Mossad or MI6. I want you to think about that for a second. What Mario was just saying here, Israeli intelligence told their leadership that Mojtaba Khomeini has zero intention of signing the final nuclear agreement. And I said, the only way that's true is if he's a controlled asset either by the Mossad or MI6. It's also important to note, Mojtaba Khomeini owns billions of dollars of real estate. I can't spell today. It's the second misspelling I had. Much of the financing comes from an Israeli-linked financial company. His assets are scattered throughout Europe, and much of his wealth is in banks in the Isle of Man, London surrogate. This is why Trump only wanted to negotiate with the civilian government. Mojtaba Khomeini is a controlled asset. This is why Trump was, I would love to talk to Mojtaba Khomeini. I would love, because he doesn't believe he's alive and that it's a symbolic figure that's being utilized for the IRGC hardliners to press their position, of which I believe U.S. negotiators called that bluff, and that's why the civilian component government took command and control. And by the way, Pezeshkian and Arachi, nobody's seen Mojtaba Khomeini. None of them have seen. The IRGC will not let anybody near him because he's dead. But Israel coming out and saying that, well, they must know something, that he's a controlled asset. Now, Trump was not holding back on Israel at G7. This is a 4-minute video. I'm going to play some of it because this is well worth it. Listen to this.
Mr. President, what are the expectations for Israel? Can this deal survive if Israel attacks Lebanon?
It can, and I consider that the minor war. Iran's a big one, but we have a little pinprick out there that constantly rears its head, and that's Hezbollah. And, I was very responsible for Syria, and the man that's running Syria now is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others. He's done an amazing job of pulling it together. He's not a Boy Scout.
Very important what he just said there. I'm going to rewind this just a little bit.
He's running Syria now.
Hold on.
There that constantly rears its head, and that's Hezbollah.
Now he goes into Syria, talk about Jojani, El-Jojani in Syria. Remember Assad was taken down? Listen to what Trump says.
And, you know, I was very responsible for Syria, and the man that's running Syria now.
Trump is responsible for Syria, the man that's running Syria. By the way, this happened when Trump was not president. Remember that. Who did he coordinate with to put Jojani in power? He's about to tell you.
Is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others.
Erdogan of Turkey. It wasn't Israel, guys. Erdogan of Turkey and Trump removed Assad when Trump wasn't even in the position of president and put in Jojani. Now listen to the rest.
He's done an amazing job of pulling it together. He's not a Boy Scout, but he's done an amazing job of pulling it together. And he is very good with Hezbollah, does not like them. And I'll tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you. And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
Do you understand how huge what he just said there was? The only reason that Israel doesn't want Trump to have that way is because they lose power. They lose control in the Middle East. But I'm going to break this down. Number one, Trump says that Jojani, the one that's in El-Jojani, the leader of Syria right now, the former ISIS and Al-Qaeda guy, Trump put him in place. Trump and Erdogan put him in place. Erdogan of Turkey. Now, remember our conversation 2 days ago or a day ago? Erdogan of Turkey just threatened Netanyahu with war. Erdogan and Trump are the one that put Jojani in there. So the man running Syria is now the man that I put there. He also said he suggested Israel let Syria handle Hezbollah. Why does this matter? For decades, Syria was a critical land bridge connecting Iran to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran, Syria, Hezbollah. Under Assad, Syria facilitated Iranian influence, weapons transfers, logistics, and strategic depth of Hezbollah. But Jojani's movement emerged from the very forces that fought Assad, Iranian-backed militias and Hezbollah. If Syria is now aligned with Jojani's government, they are, Hezbollah loses much of its Syrian logistical corridor. Iranian influence inside Syria is reduced. Weapons transfers from Iran to Hezbollah become far more difficult. Hezbollah becomes increasingly dependent on covert smuggling routes. Pro-Iran militias face growing pressure from Syrian authorities. This would represent one of the most significant geopolitical alignments in the Middle East in decades. The former land bridge for Hezbollah could become a barrier for Hezbollah. Whether Trump's comments reflect reality, diplomacy, or political rhetoric remains unseen. I think he's right. But if Syria has truly shifted from being Hezbollah's rear base to its adversary, the entire Iran-Syria-Hezbollah axis that defined the region for 40 years is being fundamentally dismantled. Now, one of the reasons this is so critically important is Jojani came in 2.5 years ago before Trump was president. Very important there. Why? Because if you are going to take out the Iranian terror triangle, Hezbollah, Houthis in Lebanon, Syria, and Iran, you have to take out Syria because this is kind of the intermediary middleman where the money flows, where the weapons flow, so forth. They did that 2.5 years ago. Erdogan and Trump did that. Erdogan even came out and talked about eliminating Hezbollah through this methodology. Trump told Netanyahu, let Jojani in Syria take out Hezbollah. Why? Because the majority of the militia transfers, the money, all of that already flows through Syria. It's really easy for them to do it. But also, think about this. He was really protecting Israel in that sense. Is if Syria went to war with Hezbollah. Now, Israel is not getting bombarded with missile attacks. None of that's happening. Iran is not going to interfere anymore because they were just neutralized through all of this. Hezbollah is on a slow death right now. Not only that, is Syria is going to have all the intel of the locations, the better intelligence, and the other various different Shia groups that can infiltrate and take over. Because you remember, Hezbollah is factionalized. And because of the factionality of it, it becomes really easy to topple its leadership. We talked about this at the beginning of last year before any of these wars happened, that Trump is going to completely transform the Middle East. It started with the Gaza peace deal, which is a two-state solution. Massive. Now look at what's happening. If all of these things come together, you're going to see peace within the Middle East. Huge. And Trump also right there called out Netanyahu and Israel for killing too many innocent people. He just called Netanyahu and Israel murderers. They're hitting apartment buildings with like no Hezbollah in it, just innocent people. Why is Trump becoming the biggest critic of Israel? Because, guys, you're watching 5D chess. You know, he gets up there, dances with Miriam Adelson, and he's like, he's taking Miriam Adelson's money. He's working for Israel. Oh, my God, Israel controls the White House. Told you. President Trump's administration refused to show Israel the memorandum between Iran and the United States after Israeli officials requested access to it. Not only that, as Bibi's phone calls have been rejected by the White House. 3 weeks ago, Israel loved Trump, 23% net approval. The latest poll, -23. You gotta love this. And watch how fast all the pro-Israel pundits turn on President Trump. And you'll start to see all the true colors of Congress who are controlled by AIPAC. Now, yesterday we talked about the seating and wondering if Joe Kent was actually working for Trump. Like, this was organized by a surrogate working in the field with Trump's knowledge of it to set everything up for this. Like Joe Kent coming out there and saying that AIPAC controls much of Congress and Senate and they have massive influence over our politicians. At the same time, the NDAA sections are going to be revamped to alignment with Israel. At the same time that Donald Trump is about to rug pull Israel, just as me and Alpha were saying for the longest time. And he did say, oh, the White House is controlled, but the White House is never controlled. They might have given the illusion that they were, but they weren't. And Trump just rug pulled Israel. And what are we starting to see? All of the AIPAC reps out there coming out and going, all the congressmen, Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, all blowing up their heads. Mike Huckabee, America wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Israel. Fuck off, Mike Huckabee. What the fuck kind of statement is that? That's like Benjamin Netanyahu. Mike Huckabee. Benjamin Netanyahu, right? So what if Joe Kent was just the messengers to plant the seeds? Plant the seeds to start getting people to align and understand that AIPAC has massive control within our government, to the point when Donald Trump rug pulled Israel, all of those people, all of a sudden, one day, we love Donald Trump, to Donald Trump's the enemy, because that's what you're about to see. Israel is about to turn on President Trump. And I did say that correctly. Israel is about to turn on President Trump. And I don't usually show Mario's interviews, but this was actually a fairly decent assessment. Let's listen to this.
How will Israel react to all this? Israel's goal is to make sure Iran does not become a regional power. You've got Iran now controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Gulf countries, instead of going to Abraham's Accords, they're going closer to Iran, realigning or revisiting their alliances and realigning with Iran. And then you have Iran being able to build up its military capabilities again with no restrictions in the MOU, including its network, including Hezbollah. That seems pretty catastrophic for Israel. What are they going to do about it?
You're exactly right, Mario. This is, in this picture that I'm painting, there are lots of losers here. Israel is the biggest loser. And it's the biggest loser in multiple ways. Number one, it was the rising power before the war. It is now the other way around. The tables have flipped on Israel. Now Iran is the rising power. Israel is a declining power. The second problem that they have is they have already unleashed, which they should not have done. It was a it wasn't just immoral, it was certainly immoral, but it was a strategic mistake to use the opening of this war to launch another front into Lebanon. This was a huge mistake because as the war has turned south for Israel and the United States, now Israel is even more overstretched than ever before. And Israel is still just 7 million Jews. They didn't get another 10 million Jews somewhere. So by opening another front, this was a giant mistake. But now, if you see the power, I'm saying Iran is about to enter its period of maximum leverage. As it enters that period of maximum leverage, it is going to be able to squeeze the United States to squeeze Israel even more. And we'll have to see which of Iran's goals, as they're gaining the leverage, which do they most want? Do they want Trump to cut off military aid to Israel? Or do they want Trump to withdraw combat forces from the Persian Gulf? Or do they go for both and they just see which way Trump is going to...
Now, obviously, the guy here talking perceives Trump as weak and the U.S. was losing the war. That's not the part of the assessment that I wanted to bring up. The part of the assessment is maximum leverage versus declining leverage of Israel. But also, there's a specific part in here, and I'm not even going to play the rest of it because it's 4 minutes long. I only saw the earlier clip, but I thought I had the earlier clip. Is that Israel may respond with some type of political assassination. They're either going to go try another decapitation event somewhere in Iran or here. Remember, you don't cross Israel. You don't cross the Mossad and the Shin Bet. So, former Israeli intelligence officer Ari Ben Menashe says Benjamin Netanyahu is about to release the real Epstein files in an effort to sabotage the peace deal. You got to love it. Netanyahu's got the real Epstein files. Well, imagine that. I wonder how he got them all that. And you know what? Do it. Do it, Netanyahu. Release the real Epstein files. It's, you know what? It's like Trump planned it all along. Yeah, we knew Congress was never going to release all of this stuff, and there's certain dirty secrets in there. But if Israel releases it, perfect. That's great. Now the people can learn the truth. Now, I think that was also maybe Israel kind of hitting the Donald Trump, like, you better get on board with us or we're going to release all the information on you. Donald Trump's 80 years old. He's a lame duck president. He doesn't give a fuck. So what we got here is what happens when Israel is receiving minimum leverage. They are declining. They were moving towards a regional and global superpower, and now they are going back down. They have to make a move. That move has to be significant on the global stage. Political assassination in Iran, or war with Turkey, or some type of false flag event here in the United States of America. That's my prediction. Or release the Epstein files, and we'll all be happy. And how do we know that this is all happening? That we have Trump derangement syndrome hitting the Israeli lobby? Look at it. From Mossad commentary, Trump is reportedly considering dismissing several senior officials who opposed the Iran deal, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Pete Hegseth is the one who helped organize the fucking deal. Pete Hegseth was one of the primary people who put it together. This is, here come the PSYOPs, influence wars, and propaganda campaigns from Israel against Donald Trump. I love this one. Mark Levin. Triggered. Mark Levin triggered. Trump, I loved you. He says, Israel, the Holy Land, is nearly 4,000 years old. It owes its existence to God Almighty. You know what, Mark? You're right. Not to be mistaken for the country of Israel, which was formed in 1948. I love it, right? Not to be confused or mistaken with the country of Israel, which was formed in 1948. All right. Another hard transition. We're almost done, guys. I got to get the DEF CON here in a little bit. Yes, I do have to get the DEF CON because it's in 30 minutes from now. And I do need time to prepare. Rumble does not love me today. A quick transition. Redpills.tv, guys. REDPILLS.tv. Over there, you can find all of our different sponsors, ways to support myself and everything that we do. The live Q&A this week is going to be tomorrow night, Wednesday. Wednesday live Q&A this week. So become a premium subscriber on X, SUBSTACK, YouTube, Social Red Pill, or Locals. Those are the places. You can find all of those linked up over on redpills.tv. Also, go check out our sponsor, Pet Club, petclub.redpills.tv. They're one of our top sponsors over here. Amazing company and tons of different testimonials coming about their immune modulating mushrooms for yourself and for your pets. Your pets and yourself. People, take these mushrooms. Immune modulating mushrooms, petclub.redpills.tv. So that's all we're going to do today for the ads. But I saw this today. The United States Department of Justice declared Elon Musk's AI data center a national security asset and blocked an environmental lawsuit against it. The NAACP filed a lawsuit against XAI in April 2026 under the Clean Air Act, alleging the company is operating dozens of gas turbines without proper dozens of gas turbines without the required air permits to power the Colossus 2 data center. The turbines are located in South Haven, Mississippi, just across the state line from the data center in South Memphis, Tennessee. Since the lawsuit was filed, the number of turbines has grown from 27 to 57. XAI says that the turbines are legally exempt from Mississippi air permitting requirements because they are mounted on trailers and classified as temporary mobile equipment. On Monday, the Department of Justice intervened in the case, filing court papers arguing that shutting down the turbines would threaten American national economic and energy security. The DOJ stated the power supply supports U.S. military AI operations. Boom. So this goes back to something else I was telling you. AI and crypto mining infrastructures will soon be considered national security assets because it is. We are in a silent war with China. And so we have to understand how important all of that is to the progress of the world, of the United States, of where we're headed. Because where we're headed is a 500-year leap in 20 years. And it's going to be very significant. With all of that, there's a part of integration that comes in with that, which is UFO and UAP disclosure. And I've talked about the 3 different phases and the various different tiers within each phase. We're in phase 1 right now, and we're in the midst of tier 2 coming up within phase 1. And a lot of people are talking about these. And I saw this one interview today, and this is Jonathan Kaplan, KC, is a prominent English barrister, King's Counsel, known for his work in complex criminal fraud, regulatory and corporate liability, media and international cases. Very well-established person within Britain. And he says some very interesting things here. And by the way, this is a man who would be in the know on this topic. Listen to this.
And this is a very real phenomenon. Where are they coming from? Well, that's the second reason they can't really disclose, because although they've been researching this for a very long time, I think that the Americans really don't know, nor do the Chinese. It's a multi-source phenomenon. Part of it is extraterrestrial. Part of it they really do not know. And Congress is talking about an interdimensional origin. They're talking about some kind possibly of universal collective consciousness, a form of intelligence we don't understand. But it would be very disturbing, I think, to say this is a real phenomenon and we don't know what it is.
A very real phenomena, and they don't know what it is. We're about to find out what it is. It's going to be very, very interesting. You know, one of the people that Avi Loeb is appointed to this scientific commission council that is being generated by the White House is Michael Shermer, the editor of Skeptics Magazine. I'm not a big fan of Michael Shermer, although I predict that within 6 months of operating on this committee that Michael Shermer will become a believer, because that's the point of this phase of disclosure. It's not for you and me. It's for the scientific community. It's to bring the scientific community into understanding that this is a very real thing, that it exists, and that it's possible. And if it's possible, now we can talk about what comes next. It's happening, people. All right, guys. DEFCON 0 coming up right after this show in about 23 minutes from now. DEFCON 0. 23 minutes, DEFCON 0. That's going to be on Badlands Media. And for everybody in the Rumble chat, I will raid you over there. For everybody else, I hope to see you over on Badlands Media, whether you hate Badlands, love Badlands, I don't care. I will be at GART, Great American Restoration Tour, on the end of this month, of July 24th to the 26th to the 28th. I don't remember the dates. But if you go to redpills.tv, it's linked up there. And you can get the tickets for the live appearance in person as well as the live streaming. So, guys, I will be back with you tomorrow night. Much love, appreciation. I hope to see some of you guys over there on DEFCON 0. I'm heading over there right now. And for everybody else, I will see you guys tomorrow. So much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Voice still calls, we the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time is near, the great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone, patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave, no more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time, there was a time, now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!